Okay, I am doing some tax prep stuff today, and it made me think I should do an organization video. What I did to stay organized, what I wish I would have done to stay more organized during the probate process, and what I plan to do to stay organized after this and make sure I have a good filing system and held on to the important things. I did some really good things that kept me really organized. There's some things I wish I would have done better, but honestly, the only reason I didn't is because I was just frankly burned out after going so hard for so long, and so that is okay. I give myself oodles and oodles of grace for that. Give yourself oodles of grace when you are just burned out, and if you can get away with the minimum and it's gonna be okay, that's kind of what I did. At some points where I was sick or I was just like, grieving and just kind of dead inside. So without further ado, here is what I've done, what I wanted to do, and what I plan to do. So obviously when you are on the go and you're doing errands, which you will be going to an attorney's office, probably some kind of financial place, wherever you have to pay bills. If you're paying them in person, you're going to the post office. If the person who has died has a house, you're going to their house, and things just come up. And if you're like me, you like to get errands done while you're already out. So I came up with a portable filing system in my purse, my very large purse. And I had it when my mother was sick. And then I continued to use it because when she was sick, it was really useful to have, like going from hospital to hospital, medical facility to medical facility, and to her house and all these different places, meeting with all these different people. And then of course, after she passed, there was a lot to do and some things had to change within my filing system. But you always want to have a certain set of documents with you and a certain set of tools, envelopes, stamps, pens, etc. It just makes it a lot easier to be able to get things done on the spot when you're out and people are like, oh, I need this and I need that. And you get an invoice and you can just go pay it. You can go mail it. And I also just want to say, even if this is kind of elementary information and it kind of seems like a no-brainer, I hope at least it helps you feel not alone, and that you just feel like you're not the only one doing this, or that we'll have to do this, or you can save it in your brain for later, like the basics, because I realize that a lot of this is like, well, duh, you need to have that stuff, and people do this all the time. But as a young person, I didn't really, I kind of just came up with something and it worked really well. And I hope that this at least makes you feel like you're not alone in this process, even if you already know this stuff, or if you don't need to know it, or if you feel like it's kind of a no-brainer. If it's just a comfort to you, that still accomplishes my goal, even if the actual content is stuff you already know. Here's the infamous purse. Yeah, I got it at Target. It's amazing. But the best part of it is that it has 3 giant compartments and one that zips where you can keep death certificates, my brain, letters, testamentary, obviously will documents, the stuff you do not want to lose, like their ID, stuff you don't want falling out at all costs can go in this middle part. And I put like basically all my folders in here because basically all my folders had really important stuff in it, and it's really big and it can hold like 6 folders. So in the sides, I had like envelopes, pens, stamps, because you never know when you're gonna need to mail something, and like if you're already out, which I like to get my errands done like while I'm out, especially during the winter. I was doing most of this during the winter, so it was like, let's get everything done in one trip so I don't have to leave my house for a few days, or leave the 2 places I was going and go outside of those places. Checkbook, credit cards, everything can fit in here. And I'll make a little checklist of what I like always carried with me, because it was extremely helpful to just always have that stuff with you. And it's kind of annoying to take in places because you obviously don't want to leave it in the car, like credit cards and checkbooks and all that different stuff, and stuff with someone's social security number on it. You don't want to leave that in the car. So I'm like tugging it around everywhere, but like it was definitely worth it. So highly recommend getting a giant, ugly old lady purse, because they are the future, and being prepared is like way better than being cute. So here are the contents of my giant purse that went around with me everywhere with my portable paper filing system. So my most important folder was my to-do folder. This was super crucial, having this separate from everything, of basically just things I needed to take action on, whether it was bills that needed to be paid, people who needed to be called, accounts that needed to be transferred from my mother's name to my name, or my mother's name to the estate name, things I would find in her house, pieces of paper that, or cards that had important information on them, like passwords and emails and all this different stuff that I needed to keep handy in order to hack into these accounts. Basically anything I needed to investigate went in here, because there's a lot of things you kind of have to go digging for when it comes to this stuff. So the to-do folder is like so essential. It keeps all of the time sensitive stuff up front for you to see it. Also, any mail, of course, most of this stuff comes through the mail, and unopened mail that I need to open. To-do folder, super important. And that leads us right into the done folder, which is great for keeping stuff separate that you've already done, bills you've already paid, people you've already called. Not applicable part, not currently applicable, like stuff businesses have given me or creditors have given me that might come in handy in the future, but that I don't need right now. And then also this includes like receipts and stuff that has been paid that I was going to scan into, and I'm going to scan into my digital filing system, which I will talk a little more about later, because eventually the 99.9% of this stuff is going to be digital. And I've already started digitizing some of that with Cam Scanner, which has been great, and creating a digital filing system. But obviously not all of it. So this just keeps it, like I have this stuff if someone asks for it, but I don't need to be looking at it right now. And I've already paid it, and I can go back and see what I've paid. And I've written in highlighter, paid on such and such a date, etc. Kept this separate, and you might not want to keep this separate from your to-do, but for me, it's not really something to take action on. So I was like, okay, death certificates, letters testamentary, and funeral home stuff, basically just all the death documents. As bad as that sounds, it's good to keep them separate because people ask for them all the time. Creditors, businesses ask for the death certificates and the letters testamentary, basically the proof that they died and the proof that you are the person appointed to handle their affairs. Not legal advice, not legal advice. And then anything from the funeral home, I just kept like funeral home receipts and stuff in here. I don't know why I kept them separate, but just like having a death folder was just like really helpful to me. I kept this locked away in the ugly old lady purse in the zipper pocket because this stuff is important. And I ordered about 10 death certificates, and I got like 4 copies eventually of the letters testamentary. Kind of adds up. It's a little bit pricey with getting all those death certificates, but like if you've already mailed out 3 and you only ordered 4 and then you have 1 left and then like 2 people ask for it, then it's like, ugh, I have to wait. Are they gonna mail it back? Do they just want a copy? I also got a bunch of copies, but it's great to just have an abundance because that way you can get stuff done faster and you don't have to rely on people mailing them back to you if they would ever do that, which I'm pretty sure some people didn't, but some people did. I don't remember, but it's good to have a lot, and I still have extras. So anyways, this one is a little specific to me, but it's basically caregiving receipts, which is just something my mother had caregivers, and I wanted to make sure, it's just something I really wanted to have on hand because I think I was getting asked about it. I don't remember who was asking me about it. It was her long-term care insurance company. So having this folder, I could like know when we were going through this nightmare that was the long-term care insurance, not our rep's fault at all, just confusing. And so I had that handy. So this is just a good example of anything like that you want to have separate, basically based on your specific situation. And for me, this was really essential. Last but not least, I have a tax folder, and depending on when the decedent passed, you're going to be doing their personal taxes if they were employed, and you're going to be doing taxes for their estate. And so I kept everything for taxes that I received in here, so it was ready for tax season, and so it will be ready for the business tax thing when that comes, which is coming up for us. So that was good to keep separate too, because it's kind of just its own individual thing. So as far as will documents goes, the attorney's office gave us really nice folders labeled original and copies, and we got, I think, like 3 copies or something like that. And I kept one original folder and one copy folder with me in the old lady purse, so I would have them on hand at all times, along with the other like 5 or 6 folders that I just mentioned. That way, if people are asking for things to be emailed, if they're asking for them to be uploaded through a portal, I can scan them, and I use Cam Scanner. I have the hard copy with me, it can be scanned, and sometimes if I wanted to, I digitally filed it, but I did not create in its completeness a digital filing system yet, because it just wasn't a priority and hasn't been. But I do plan to digitize everything eventually, besides probably the very few 1% of things that you should keep hard copies of. Mostly everything will be digitized, and I'll probably go through that sometime in the future. As far as what I would have done differently, in my paper filing system, nothing. In my digital filing system, it's very specific, but I kept in my notes app, I will do a video on my digital filing system, putting the check number in the title of the note for that expense. I kept a list of expenses, and I had the fact that it was written in a check form, or card rather, if it was card, but I didn't put the check number next to the title of the expense. And you can search in notes, and if I could search the check number for when I had the temporary checks, again, very specific, but it would have helped a lot at the inventory process. Also, for the money that the estate received, I would have kept those checks all together, because I just had to go digging for them, going through the expenses and not knowing what this deposit was for, because you don't receive a lot of money when you're in a state, but sometimes you get reimbursements for stuff, and I wish I would have kept those all together, and then I wouldn't have had to dig for them. If you want to like this video and subscribe to my channel, I really want this stuff to get pushed out to the right people. That's always my goal, is for, even if it's just one person, that it helps and encourages, whether they're going through it themselves or they have a friend that they can encourage. That is always my goal, is that it reaches the right ears and the people who need to hear it. It's just frankly good education that we don't really get in school or elsewhere for that matter. So it can really be helpful to anyone, but especially people who are in the weeds and in the thick of the probate process, or know that their loved one is going to pass away soon and they really don't know what to do. If this is you and you are going through this right now, or you know that it is coming for you very soon, as always, you are not alone in this process, and there are people who have done it, and always get people in person on your side as well. People who have done this before. Older people are so wise, they have so much knowledge and experience, and also sensitivity towards death, that sometimes the younger generations lack. So utilize those people in your community that are around you, whether it's at church or neighbors or whoever. Utilize your community, know that you're not alone, and I hope this is a resource for you and encouragement for you.